Chapter 2. My name is Nihilus. The deep thrumming of Ponyville's only dance club filled Rainbow Dash's ears as he threw herself onto the ground in front of their table. Colorful lights flashed on and off above them, each outlining the silhouettes of the dancing ponies for an instant before vanishing. Applejack took a seat beside Dash. Fluttershy and Rarity sat delicately on the floor across from them. Pinkie Pie remained standing, bouncing in place as he addressed her friends. Yeah! The party pony spoke loudly to be heard over the thumping, pumping music of the dance club. Every pony know tonight's detective? The friends seated at the table exchanged confused glances, struggling to figure out what the pink-haired pony expected to answer. Pinkie was unpredictable, but tended to follow a single constant. The party? Rainbow Dash hazarded a guess. No, silly Philly, Pinkie Pie exclaimed. You have fun! With that, she stood on her back legs, throwing a shower of confetti into the air. Just because Twilight is off having some midnight picnic with the princesses in Canterlot doesn't mean the five of us can't have a perfectly good time here in Ponyville the way we usually do. I mean, 5 out of 6 ponies is still like 5 halves the fun with 4 out of 12 ponies, isn't it? She frowned, considering her last sentence a moment, then shook her head. In any case, dance on me! Before any of the friends at the table could express their appreciation, the pink pony cartwheeled off to the dance floor. None of the group sitting at the table gave her outburst more than a raised eyebrow. For Pinkie, it had almost been mild. What do you think they talk about up at the palace anyway? Rainbow Dash wondered aloud. Doesn't Twilight write to Celestia, like, every day? Princess Celestia of Rainbow Dash, Rarity corrected her. The title is important. And being arguably the 3 most powerful magical beings in all of Equestria, I think magic compromises a great deal of the conversation, wouldn't you? Or perhaps they discussed the accident that happened last week. Applejack started, obviously confused. All excellent. Oh, Applejack, Rarity guessed dramatically. Haven't you heard? The other pony gave Rarity a blank stare. Honestly, any pony who is any pony knows by now. Though I suppose you wouldn't be in the know as a pony as myself. I do have a number of, shall we say, connections. Just tell us what happened, Rarity. Rainbow Dash interrupted her, obviously as confused as Applejack. Well, if you're going to be so rude about it, I don't see why I should tell you to anything. The unicorn turned her snout up and sniffled. See if I care. Rainbow Dash turned to Applejack, completely ignoring Rarity. So today I was breaking a cloud, right? And this other Pegasus struts up like she thinks he can. Alright, fine! Rarity's shrill voice cut Dash off. Some pony went crazy, and I talked to Princess. There! Rainbow Dash and Applejack both turned back to the unicorn. Dash was, if anything, more confused. So, you're saying that somebody was actually dumb enough to try and kill Princess Luna? I mean, I know there was the whole Nightmare Moon thing, but not Princess Luna. Princess Celestia, Rarity corrected, leaning in and whispering in a conspiratorial tone, Grudge seemingly forgotten. In the middle of her throne room, while she was holding court. They failed, obviously. In any case, her assistant wore a grey cloak, and then wearing the colour became a major faux pas. The entire aristocracy has to reorder their summer wardrobe. Celestia had the entire thing under control in moments, of course, Rarity continued, though I have heard rumours, and these are totally unfounded, they remind you, that in order to catch all the culprits, she used the mind magic on her assailant. Alicorns can read minds, Dash said. You mean now I have to watch what I think around the princesses? Thinking about sending you to the place, Cube? No! Dash said defensively. It's just nobody's business what I'm thinking is all. Rarity scoffed. It's unicorn magic, actually, though totally forbidden. And there are spells that do far worse than simply read a mind. Don't worry, though, she added upon quickly seeing Dash's expression. I imagine Celestia and Luna are the only 2 people on how to perform any. Rarity went on in her silvery voice. I hear the princess was absolutely furious. She actually cast her blade. The unicorn looked around the 3 ponies sitting at the table, obviously expecting some kind of reaction. No pony gave one. Oh, come now! At least one of you must know what I'm talking about. Fluttershy? She turned to the pink-haired Pegasus, was rewarded with an apologetic shrug. Rarity groaned and began to talk, as she was teaching schoolfellows how to add 2 and 2. Unicorn warriors throughout the ages have been known for spells that summon elegant and terrifying weapons based on their one special talent. Princess Celestia's is a shaft of sunlight, so hot it could burn through anything, and so bright it could blind you to look at it. I'm sure Twilight has pictures she could show you in one of those books of hers. Swords! Rainbow Dash exclaimed, so eyes wide. That sounds so cool! Can you do it? She gave a high-pitched laugh. Of course not, darling.
I'm a fashion designer. I said warrior ponies. Ponies like Sir Nihlus, the Dragon Slayer, or Sir Radiant Shimmer, the undefeatable jouster.
Sir who again?
Radiant Shimmer.
Ladies and gentlemen, Sunset's ancestor. Verity's eyes stared off into the distance and smiled dreamily.
Or Sir Fernando,
she said, clearly lost in thought.
the extremely attractive.
Applejack and Rainbow Dash snickered. Sounds like a real fine stallion there, Rarely. Verity saw the looks the 3 ponies at the table were giving her, and regained her composure. She cleared her throat.
But that's enough courtly gossip for one night, don't you think? Let's dance for the side.
She stood up and turned to face the Pegasus.
Fluttershy looked down and sank a little in her seat. Oh, I don't know, Father Rarity. With all these ponies here watching, maybe you could just... You don't want to dance with me?
Verity's lower lip quivered as her eyes went wide.
No, that's not what I meant at all. Of course I'll dance with you. Yeah, I'll dance.
Rarity led Fluttershy away with a hoof on her shoulder. You'll ever think that Rarity isn't being a very good pony once he pulls Fluttershy around like that? Applejack asked after they left. Since Rarity wasn't around to complain, Rainbow Dash propped her back legs up on the table.
That girl should at least learn to stand up for her friends.
As he spoke, a shock of pink hair appeared on the top of Rainbow's field of vision. She looked up and found Pinkie Pie leaning on the booth from one of theirs, face several inches from Dash's. She had been dancing, and her face was covered in sweat.
Dashing!
She shouted, causing Rainbow Dash to recoil and hit her head off the floor.
Ah! You could just, sit down if you wanted to talk to us. Singing is for chumps. You guys gotta come and dance? Look at how much fun they're having.
Dash looked towards the dance floor and easily spotted Fluttershy and Rarity. They were both engaged in some kind of complex dance that complemented their natural grace. Rarity had her wings folded despite the heat. Rarity's horn was glowing, the unicorn using magic to make their mane sway and billow with the beat. You know what seeing them 2 dancing makes me wonder? Applejack asked. It was Pinkie who answered.
What?
How much Rarity has to practice to use magic like that, and dance at the same time. Makes me glad my magic is a knight.
Me too,
Rainbow Dash agreed.
But you know what I wonder? What?
Pinkie again. The music suddenly died as the DJ switched over to the next track.
Isn't Fluttershy hot dancing with her wings folded?
Dash said loudly to complete silence. Every pony in the club looked over at her. Fluttershy's face burned furiously. The only thing that broke the silence was Pinkie's loud guffaw.
Oh, hey!
Dash cursed under her breath. She spoke louder, scratching the back of her head.
I meant like warm, dancing in the heat, like...
Applejack sighed and upended her drink from her mouth, downing one gulp. Everyone turned back to their conversations as the music picked up again. Come on, Sugar Cube, let's just go dance. It was several hours before the groups of friends all exited the club into the warm summer night air. Rarity and Fluttershy were chatting about their feathered hats, and Dash and Pinkie were talking about seeing a movie.
I'm not put off by gore or anything. I can handle all of that easily, Dash lied. I just think it looks like a stupid movie is all. Okie dokie dokie, Pinkie chirped. We don't have to see that one if you don't like. We'll just end up seeing something else. How about that one where the unicorn messes up a teleportation spell, and all his friends end up in...
She stopped suddenly. The world had changed. All the hair on Rainbow Dash's neck stood up immediately, and she got the overwhelming feeling she was being watched. She felt as though a siren had gone off inside her head, warning her that every pony was suddenly in danger. Adrenaline coursed through her bloodstream, and with a single beat of her wings, she threw herself dozens of feet in the air, spun around, searching for whatever it was that set her off. The street was quiet and empty except for them. Nothing was any different. But it was. Rarity spun into place, eyes alert, and Applejack was looking around with one hoof on her hat. Fluttershy looked into a nearby bush, her eyes blinking out the world fearfully. Pinkie Pie had stopped talking mid-sentence. Was it a strange enough reaction for Pinkie Pie? The elf felt it too.
What in the honey?
Applejack murmured for a moment. Suddenly, there was a flash in the sky, followed shortly by a deep rumbling.
I love lightning!
Pinkie Pie cheered.
Do you know how you can figure out how way far it is away by carrying the seconds between the flash and the noise?
The sky flashed again.
1, 2... It's coming from Continent,
Rarity said quietly. Dash looked. Sure enough, she saw the flash originating from somewhere near the palace. The boom sounded again. It was a long, deep, loud sound, never cracking or changing in pitch.
And it isn't lightning,
Rainbow Dash added.
Sounds slightly off. Must be Princess Luna or Princess Celestia. Rarity said the words with a hint of unease. Some kind of late-night fireworks, perhaps. The sky flashed again, and again, and again. All Rainbow Dash could do, all anything could do, was stand there feeling uneasy. Twilight is with both the alicorns, Rainbow thought. They could protect her from anything. Besides, it's probably nothing dangerous anyway. Almost a whole minute passed before the strange flashes stopped. Applejack spoke first. I don't like this one bit. Maybe we should have Rainbow fly over there in the morning, just to see they're alright.
Oh, you guys.
Where's they coming out of her bliss? I agree completely. Applejack, Rarity answered. Something here just doesn't quite add up.
I think you should take a look at this.
Dash landed across her arms.
Were you acting all so worried? Twilight's more than capable of defending herself. Remember how she spoke to Ursa Minor? You see, the thing is...
And if she didn't have both the alicorns with her, which she totally does...
The moon is red.
Fluttershy finished quietly. Every one of them turned to Fluttershy. They looked up at the tiny silver of the moon in the sky. The Pegasus had not exaggerated. Somehow turned a deep crimson.
Now that's odd,
Eddie said after a while.
Yeah, the moon is usually white.
Yeah, Pinky, Rarity answered, voice taking on a strange tone. It sounded almost as if he was sad. I meant it's all the princess would do that. It's a sign, you see. One that's almost been forgotten, because it's never been used. It's as old as Equestria. Rarity resumed looking up at the moon. Well, Death eventually asked, impatient, what does it mean? The unicorn drew a long breath. It means, she said, closing her eyes, Equestria is now at war. It was a short while later that Rainbow Dash arrived at home. It was late enough that she should be in bed. The events of the night, however, nagged at her.
At war, she thought. Is it even possible? Equestria has no enemies. Equestria doesn't even have equals. Was Rarity wrong? She does tend to be a little overdramatic about, well, everything. And knowing something that old and obscure is Twilight's thing.
Twilight. Somewhere in Canterlot, Twilight was with the princesses, who had quite passively declared war on some unknown enemy. And the others were expected Rainbow Dash to just wait until tomorrow to check in. It wasn't right for them to just sit around while their friend could be in danger. There was no time for action, she decided. A midnight flight to Canterlot and back was well within her capabilities. She even was tired and a little tipsy from alcohol. She hastily packed a saddlebag, pressing herself in the mirror she kept in her room.
Looking good,
she said with a nod.
Wonder how I look with goggles. I should ask Rarity about getting a pair. At the very least, I look more like a Wonderbolt.
She shook her head and brought herself a focus on the task at hand. The sooner I get this over with, the sooner I get some well-deserved sleep. She glided down the stairs and went to open her door.
Going somewhere in a hurry,
said a familiar voice. In an instant, Dash's fatigue was dispelled as she felt adrenaline course through her veins. She turned, and hairs on the back of her neck standing up once more to face
Twilight! How did you get up here?
She asked. The unicorn sat at Dash's kitchen table.
Magic,
she answered with a wink.
How else? You have no idea how relieved I am to see you.
Dash leaned against the door and let herself sag down to the floor.
We saw flashes of something that wasn't lightning over Canterlot, and the moon turned red, which Rarity said that meant Equestria was at war, and we started to worry about whether or not you were all right, and everyone just wanted me to go check up in the morning. I decided to check things out now instead. But I guess now you're back. I don't need to, right? Wait, why are you back?
Rainbow Dash was speaking the words she thought then.
You weren't supposed to come home until tomorrow morning. Did something bad happen? Is Celestia all right? Why did Luna turn the moon red?
Twilight was silent, so Rainbow Dash continued.
What were those flashes over Canterlot? And why are you in my house so late? It's polite to knock, you know.
Twilight raised a hoof to silence her, and began to speak.
Your instincts are right, as usual, Rainbow Dash. Something is wrong, and I...
She seemed to have trouble with the words.
Need your help?
She said finally.
Hey, Twilight, you know you can count on me. I'm the most dependable pony around. I know, Rainbow Dash. Which is why I came to see you. You see, I'm going to give you something. Something magical. It's going to try to hurt you. You need to accept it from me. It won't really hurt you, of course. I would never do that, but it's going to feel really unpleasant at first. Accept it? What do you mean accept it, Twi? I can explain everything once it's done, Dash. It'll only take a couple of seconds, and then we can go get every pony else.
She shot up from the table and moved towards Dash, who stood up and eyed her suspiciously.
Now, are you with me or not, Dash?
Her voice was filled with hesitation. The night was getting stranger and stranger. But Das knew she could count on Twilight to make sense of everything. Plus, as she backed down now, she seemed like a sissy. Rainbow Dash was not a sissy.
Alright, she said, do it! Twilight leaned forward and closed her eyes, focusing. After a short time, her horn began to emit a glow, and a dot blob began to appear as tip. She placed her horn in front of Dash's chest. Alright, she said, sounding slightly excited. Are you ready? I guess so. Just do whatever it is you're going to do quickly, okay? Oh, don't worry. This will be over in seconds. She moved her horn forward and touched Dash's chest. Immediately, the formless darkness began to take shape, sprouting writhing tendrils that crept over the surface of Dash's coat. A tendril slunk through the fur and felt it touch her skin. It felt wrong. It was cold and nauseating, and somehow felt purely malicious. Dash pulled away, and the tendrils withdrew to the orb of brightness on Twilight's horn. I can't, she said quickly. I'm sorry, Twilight, but it feels so wrong. Can't you feel it? Twilight looked down. I know it feels bad at first, Dash, but you have to trust me. I came to you because you're the element of loyalty, Dash. You're the toughest pony I know. I know it isn't fair of me to ask you to do this for me, but you don't even know what you're doing. I'm sorry I asked you, though. I'm sorry for wasting your time. She moved to leave. Rainbow Dash felt ashamed. Twilight, The unicorn looked up. I'll do it. Dash finished. Twilight perked up. You have no idea how much this means to me, Rainbow Dash. I know it feels bad, but just maybe try thinking of something else. She placed her horn against Rainbow Dash's chest again. Tendrils once again began to crawl across her chest, spreading over her coat and then plunging it through her skin. A horrible feeling returned, and Dash thought the happiest feeling she knew, flying. Air under my wings, she thought, wind whipping through hair. More and more tendrils found their way under her, and through skin, and the feeling of wrongness intensified. It was like the spell wanted to hurt her. It made her stomach turn. Breaking through a cloud, getting showered with a misty rainwater, doing a backflip, watching the whole world turn upside down, passing another flyer to win the race. The tendrils had now reached her neck and flank, and were keeping her around to her back. They felt cold almost, slimy, like worms trying to burrow through her skin. All the while she could feel the spell's presence, wanting to hurt her, to kill her. She couldn't stand it any longer. She pulled away. This time, the spell did not withdraw. Twilight! Dash called frantically, clawing at the darkness that spread over her chest. Stop it! She managed to pull some of the spell away from herself. Where it touched, her fur turned black. Twilight! She cried. The tendrils had come off now were spreading across her hooves. Help me! The unicorn smiled. Twilight, she said, her voice becoming sinuous and low. The neurotic little student girl who spends her time learning about friendship, despite the fact that she's one of the most powerful beings in Equestria. Realization dawned too late. You aren't her, she said, terrified. The unicorn positively grinned. Dash propelled herself upward, right into the unicorn's chest. She slammed the unicorn backwards, into the kitchen table, and wrapped her forelegs around her neck. Where is she? She screamed. The darkness worked up its way to her forelegs and was almost to her jaw. That very Twilight-esque facial expression, the unicorn raised an eyebrow. The air sizzled and flashed. Suddenly Rainbow Dash was pinned to the surface of the table by an unseen force. The mare who was not Twilight sat atop her, straddling her belly. She leaned down, placing her head beside Dash's and whispering in her ear. I was counting on you to be too stupid to realize the little fact it was too late. And lo and behold, you did not fail to disappoint. She slowly drew her horn along Dash's neck, brought the point to rest directly against the center of her chest. No, you imbecile-like little fool. Her voice became a hiss. I am not Twilight Sparkle. Rainbow Dash tried to move her arms, legs, wings, but they were all held back by the unicorn's incredibly strong magic. Tiny magical strands of darkness converged, covering her entire body up to her neck. The nausea was overwhelming. She whimpered. There was an ear-splitting crack for the unicorn's horn. Dash was thrown to the ground as the table exploded beneath her. The darkness was forcing its way to her mouth. She was rendered helpless. By not Twilight's magic. She couldn't help herself. She threw up, soaking the floor beside her with her vomit. Oh, Twilight is in here. Somehow, the unicorn was now standing over Rainbow Dash, despite having been on the table. She's screaming and sobbing to get out, to help you, as she watches through her own eyes while we suffer upon you a fate worse than death. I don't even think she made this much noise when we murdered her beloved mentor. Why don't you say hello, Rainbow Dash? The spell was worming its way into Rainbow Dash's ears now, covering her eyes with darkness. She tried to scream, but the sound that came out was muffled and weak. There was only blackness. Dash awoke on her kitchen floor, surrounded by splinters, her head resting in a cold blue blood of her own vomit. A low buzzing noise seemed to come from in her head. Her skin felt itchy. She immediately noticed her coat had turned black, and her mane a dark gray. It must have been the spell.
The spell!
She sat up suddenly. Unicorn was sitting close by her on the kitchen floor.
You backed out there for a bit,
she said, examining a hoof. Dash considered attacking the unicorn again, but thought against it. She felt so weak, and not Twilight had crushed her before. Not to mention, if the unicorn was to be believed, Twilight was still in there somewhere.
We're going to try this again, Dash,
the unicorn said.
Say hello to Twilight!
The last sentence was spoken as a command. Immediately, the slight buzzing grew louder. She found herself unable to think straight. It was as though 1,000 parasites were swarming around inside her head. It felt as though insects were crawling under her skin. She tried to remember what she had been doing, but here she was. Her vision blurred and swam. Say hello. The buzzing grew louder. Inside, she just had to say it. Hello, Twilight. It grew louder, more insistent. Her back arched as the crawling sensation grew unbearable. Rainbow Dash tried to remember who Twilight was, but couldn't. She could hardly remember her own name, let alone some stranger. Her entire mind clung to one thought, one purpose.
Hello, Twilight,
she managed weakly. Instantly, the room snapped into focus around her, and the noise vanished.
I did it,
Dash thought.
I gave in. Your spell, she said quietly. It makes me do what you want.
Now Twilight stood and circled Dash, leaning to whisper in her ear.
You fail to appreciate the true genius of it, Rainbow Dash.
Dash felt Magic grip her shoulder.
You see, every second you disobey one of my instructions, my spell is going to take a small piece of your sanity.
Another bit of magic gripped Dash's mane and turned her to face the unicorn
and eat it.
Her face was only inches away from Rainbow Dash's. The Pegasus wondered how she could have ever mistaken this unicorn for Twilight. She had her face, her voice, her eyes were filled with hatred and insanity. The unicorn spoke again, her voice sharp and biting.
It eventually will force you to obey, and when that happens, you'll become perfectly sane again.
She jerked Rainbow Dash by her mane.
Do you not see the beauty of it, my pet? You will stumble along through insanity, lost and confused. You'll only truly be Rainbow Dash after you surrendered your free will and done my bidding. You'll experience moments of clarity only after you succumb and committed the most horrible atrocities, and you'll spend those moments grieving for the innocent lives I will have you destroy. Your only escape will become a monster on your own volition. Now listen closely, pet. You will cease to think of yourself as Rainbow Dash, and will no longer answer to that name. You will not take your own life.
No! You can't take my name! Rainbow Dash thought. The buzzing grew louder.
You will not think of harming or hindering me in any way.
You will do everything in your power to advance my goals as you see them.
You will not try to circumvent many of my orders.
No! Dash's skin began to itch.
You will be cruel to others. You will show no compassion. In a day from now, you will beat Pinkamena Diane Pie to within an inch of her life!
A tear made its way down Rainbow Dash's face.
Twilight, she whispered.
You will not call me Twilight!
My name is Nihilus. I wasn't talking to you.
Nihilus turned and regarded the Pegasus with a look of amusement. The buzzing grew even louder as he struggled to hold on.
I'm sorry, Twilight, she whimpered. I'm sorry I wasn't there. Sorry that I couldn't save you.